From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order
My
Watch.
fellow Americans, the year was 1967, a year where the storm clouds of conflict and the light of progress collided in every corner of this nation and far beyond. By then, I'd been in this office long enough to understand its weight, not just the weight of decisions, but the burden of history. Each day in the White House, I carried the hopes of the people, the wounds of a divided country, and the relentless demand for direction. Vietnam was raging. That war, however necessary I believed it to be, had begun to wear down the spirit of the American people. The protests were growing, not just in college towns and city streets, but in living rooms and dinner tables. Folks were questioning the cost, not just in dollars, but in lives and in faith. But while the war consumed headlines, we didn't stop pushing at home. Civil rights didn't go on hold. The war on poverty didn't pause. The march toward equity and opportunity kept going, because it had to. In 1967, we made real investments in urban renewal, transportation, and public broadcasting. We laid the groundwork for educational access that would reach rural kids and inner-city youth alike. We expanded Head Start, fortified Social Security, and brought focus to the needs of Native American communities, long ignored by Washington. I governed with urgency, I governed with conflict, and I governed with conviction. I believed, still do, that the federal government can be a force for good when it listens more than it lectures, and when it moves not for politics, but for people. Now, I won't sugarcoat it. The year tested me. It tested the country. We saw Detroit burn, Newark rise in protest, and communities across this nation cry out, not just for jobs or housing, but for dignity. We saw the Six-Day War reshape the Middle East. We watched Thurgood Marshall make history as the first black justice of the United States Supreme Court. And we mourn for the mounting loss of sons and brothers overseas. Through it all, I leaned on the tools of the presidency. One of those tools, the executive order, became a way to act when action couldn't wait. Each order had a purpose. Each one told a story, not just of what needed doing, but of what kind of country we were trying to become. And in just a moment, we're going to walk through the executive orders I signed in 1967. Some made headlines, most didn't. But each one helped build or repair part of this nation's foundation. So sit tight and let's take a close look, not just at the ink and paper, but at the intent behind every stroke of the pen. Executive Order 11,322. Designating the Secretary of Defense to perform functions under the Foreign Military Sales Act on January 6, 1967. Executive Order 11,323, revoking executive orders, number 10,530 and number 10,605, relating to the Air Coordinating Committee on January 6, 1967, Executive Order 11,324. Creating an emergency board to investigate disputes between the carriers represented by the National Railway Labor Conference and certain of their employees on January 20th, 1967. Executive Order 11,325, placing an additional position in Level 5 of the Federal Executive Salary Schedule on January 25, 1967. Executive Order 11,326, providing for the stabilization of the economy of the Ryukyu Islands on February 9, 1967. Executive Order 11,327, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Reading Company and certain of its employees on February 14, 1967. Executive Order 11,328, establishing the President's Advisory Council on Executive Organization on March 3, 1967. Executive Order 11,329, delegating certain authority of the President to prescribe regulations governing the payment of expenses incident to the death of certain federal employees and their dependents on March 6, 1967. Executive Order 11,330, delegating authority with respect to the prescribing of regulations governing the payment of expenses to and from the United States for dependents of certain civilian employees on March 6, 1967. Executive Order 11,331, establishing a National Commission on Product Safety on March 6, 1967. Executive Order 11,332, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Penn Central Transportation Company and certain of its employees on March 21, 1967. Executive Order 11,333, establishing the Federal Judicial Center on March 28, 1967. Executive Order 11,334, designating the United States Arms Control and Disarmament Agency as a public international organization on April 3, 1967. Executive Order 11,335, establishing the National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders on July 29, 1967. Executive Order 11,336, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific Railroad Company and certain of its employees on April 11, 1967. Executive Order 11,337, amending Executive Order number 10,530 as amended, relating to the performance of certain functions affecting the Department of Commerce on April 17, 1967. Executive Order 11,338, further amending Executive Order number 11,248, relating to the Presidential Medal of Freedom on April 22, 1967. Executive Order 11,339, creating a board of inquiry to report on certain labor disputes affecting the construction industry in the New York metropolitan area on May 6, 1967. Executive Order 11,340, further providing for the administration of the Foreign Assistance Program on May 11, 1967. Executive Order 11,341, creating an emergency board to investigate disputes between the carriers represented by the Eastern Carriers Conference Committee and certain of their employees on May 24, 1967. Executive Order 11,342, delegating certain authority of the President to prescribe regulations relating to allowances and benefits for civilian employees of the government stationed abroad on May 26, 1967. Executive Order 11,343, authorizing the Secretary of the Interior to perform certain functions relating to the certification of the nations of the Western Hemisphere on May 30th, 1967. Executive Order 11,344, establishing the President's Committee on Urban Housing on June 12, 1967. Executive Order 11,345, establishing the National Commission on the Causes and Prevention of Violence on June 29, 1967. Executive Order 11,346, modifying Executive Order number 10,161 as amended to transfer certain functions from the Office of Emergency Planning to the Office of Science and Technology on July 20th, 1967. Executive Order 11,347, amending Executive Order number 11,248, relating to the Presidential Medal of Freedom to provide for a distinction in literature on August 4th, 1967. Executive Order 11,348, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Southern Railway Company and certain of its employees on August 11, 1967. Executive Order 11,349, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Texas and Pacific Railway Company and certain of its employees on August 15, 1967. Executive Order 11,350, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the carriers represented by the Eastern Carriers Conference Committee and certain of their employees on September 1, 1967. Executive Order 11,351, establishing the National Council on Indian Opportunity on September 6, 1967. Executive Order 11,352, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Florida East Coast Railway Company and certain of its employees on September 6, 1967. Executive Order 11,353, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Southern Railway Company and certain of its employees on September 13, 1967. Executive Order 11,354, establishing the President's Advisory Council on Cost Reduction in the Federal Government on September 15, 1967. Executive Order 11,355, establishing the President's Interagency Committee for Mexican-American Affairs on October 11, 1967. Executive Order 11,356, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the Chicago and Northwestern Railway Company and certain of its employees on October 12, 1967. Executive Order 11,357, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the carriers represented by the National Railway Labor Conference and certain of their employees on October 13, 1967. Executive Order 11,358, modifying Executive Order number 11,157 with respect to incentive pay for hazardous duty by members of the Uniformed Services on October 28, 1967. Executive Order 11,359, creating a board of inquiry to report on a labor dispute affecting the shipbuilding and ship repairing industry on October 31, 1967. Executive Order 11,360, establishing the National Council on Marine Resources and Engineering Development on November 6, 1967. Executive Order 11,361, establishing the President's Advisory Council on the Arts on November 16, 1967.
Pauline's Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
Ah, I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at Da Bomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search DaBomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
My fellow Americans, let's take a journey back to 1966, a year of confrontation, creation, and conviction. A year when President Lyndon B. Johnson governed with a steady, often heavy, hand in the midst of war abroad and unrest at home. Johnson wasn't a president who hesitated. He signed laws, yes, but he also used executive orders like instruments of government action. In 1966 alone, he signed over 40 of them, and in doing so, he shaped not just that year, but generations to come. Let's first set the stage. At home, the Vietnam War was escalating. Over 6,000 American service members died that year, and with each loss, more Americans began to question why we were there. Anti-war protests intensified, draft cards burned, but Johnson remained firm, believing that stopping the spread of communism was worth the sacrifice. Meanwhile, the civil rights movement surged forward, though met with fierce resistance. Black communities in Chicago, Cleveland, and Atlanta were organizing, demanding equity, not just in voting, but in housing, education, and opportunity. And yet, even with a nation divided, Johnson didn't stop pushing. He expanded federal investment in education, transportation, health care, and poverty relief. He governed like a man who believed that government had a moral obligation to intervene when society failed the vulnerable. Now let me share with you the top 10 executive orders President Johnson signed in 1966 and how they mattered then and now. Number 1, Executive Order 11,295 restructured how U.S. passports were issued and verified. This created a modern passport system, helping to ensure both national security and the right to international travel. It's the foundation of what we use today. Number 2, Executive Order 11,296 focused on flood hazard evaluations before building federal facilities. This marked a shift toward proactive environmental and safety planning. We see its legacy in FEMA and climate resilience strategies. Number 3, Executive Order 11,297 launched coordination across federal urban programs. At a time when American cities were in crisis, Johnson tried to centralize solutions. This laid groundwork for later urban renewal policies. Number 4, Executive Order 11,288 addressed water pollution control by federal activities. That single move pushed federal agencies to lead by example, and it foreshadowed the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency in 1970. Number 5, Executive Order 11,282 focused on air pollution control. At a time when smog choked major cities, Johnson knew clean air wasn't optional. It was essential. Number 6, Executive Order 11,301 established the President's Committee on Libraries. It might sound ceremonial, but it reflected Johnson's commitment to education and literacy for all, regardless of income or geography. Number 7, Executive Order 11,306 established the President's Committee on Rural Poverty, a powerful acknowledgement that America's poor weren't just in the cities. Many were in small towns and farming communities long neglected by federal policy. Number 8, Executive Order 11,310 gave emergency preparedness authority to the Attorney General, linking national security with law enforcement coordination during the Cold War. Number 9, Executive Order 11,315 reformed federal civil service hiring, allowing top-level government employees to move across agencies. That flexibility helped build the smart, agile public service corps we rely on today. Number 10, Executive Order 11,318 designated the European Space Research Organization as an entity protected by U.S. law, reinforcing America's commitment to international science cooperation even in the midst of the Cold War space race. Now let's widen the lens. What else happened in 1966? Globally, the Cultural Revolution erupted in China, sending shockwaves through East Asia. The Soviet Union landed Luna 9 on the moon, beginning a new chapter in the space race.
My fellow Americans, let's talk about 1967. That year, the United States stood at a crossroads, divided by war, ignited by hope, and propelled by change. And leading the charge, relentlessly, unapologetically, was President Lyndon B. Johnson. It was a turbulent time. The Vietnam War had escalated, and the nation was fractured over its purpose and its cost. Protests intensified on college campuses, on city streets, in the halls of Congress. America was tired, angry, searching for clarity, but Johnson didn't flinch. He believed in the long fight, even if it was unpopular. He believed that government had a responsibility to lead, not retreat. And so, in 1967, even in the middle of war and political heat, Johnson wielded one of the presidency's most powerful tools, the executive order. He used it to build, to fix, to reform, to steer the ship when Congress couldn't or wouldn't act fast enough. And those executive orders, they didn't just address problems of the moment. They planted seeds that still bear fruit today. Let's walk through 10 of the most impactful executive orders from 1967 and what they meant for then and now. Number 1, Executive Order 11,335. This order established the National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders, better known as the Kerner Commission. Johnson wanted the truth behind the riots exploding in American cities. The commission's famous conclusion: our nation is moving toward two societies, one black, one white, separate and unequal. That report remains a wake-up call, still quoted in racial justice discussions today. Number 2, Executive Order 11,328. Created the President's Advisory Council on Executive Organization, paving the way for a more modern, efficient federal government. Its work streamlined departments and gave future presidents better tools to lead. Number 3, Executive Order 11,331 established the National Commission on Product Safety, protecting Americans from hazardous goods in an era before consumer advocacy had power. It helped lead to critical safety reforms and regulations. Number 4, Executive Order 11,344 launched the President's Committee on Urban Housing, targeting slum conditions in cities suffering from poverty and neglect. This move was central to Johnson's Great Society and laid groundwork for future urban policy reforms. Number 5, Executive Order 11,345 created the National Commission on the Causes and Prevention of Violence following civil unrest. It set the stage for national dialogue on public safety, gun laws, and the social roots of crime. Number 6, Executive Order 11,347 amended the rules for the Presidential Medal of Freedom, adding recognition for literature. This simple gesture lifted the arts into the sphere of national honor, reminding us that culture is as vital to a nation as its laws. Number 7, Executive Order 11,351 established the National Council on Indian Opportunity, a critical moment in acknowledging Native American voices in federal policy. It was a step toward sovereignty, inclusion, and long overdue respect. Number 8, Executive Order 11,354 formed the President's Advisory Council on Cost Reduction in the federal government. Johnson knew that a big government had to be a smart government, and he put real effort into cutting waste. Number 9, Executive Order 11,355 created the Interagency Committee for Mexican-American Affairs, recognizing the specific needs of Hispanic Americans for the first time in a serious federal policy platform. Number 10, Executive Order 11,360 established the National Council on Marine Resources and Engineering Development, signaling a bold commitment to ocean science and environmental stewardship years before the EPA was even born. Now, while Johnson was signing these executive orders, the world was spinning with intensity. Globally, 1967 brought the Six-Day War in the Middle East, an event that reshaped borders, politics, and military alliances, the echoes of which still affect foreign policy today. In the U.S., the first Super Bowl was played. Thurgood Marshall was nominated to the Supreme Court, the first black justice in American history. That wasn't just progress, it was history being made. And while cities like Detroit, Newark, and Milwaukee burned with racial frustration, artists, thinkers, and dreamers were building new visions of what America could be, from soul music to science fiction. 1967 was messy, it was loud, it was hard, but it was also catalytic. And Johnson, he governed like a man who knew the window for change doesn't stay open long. He used the executive order not as a workaround, but as a promise to act when the country demanded it. And whether you agreed with his war policy or not, on the domestic front, his pen was often pointed toward justice, inclusion, and modernization. So when we look at 1967, we remember not just the conflict, but the courage to govern in the storm. We remember a president who didn't just react, he reshaped. And we remember that progress rarely comes in comfort. It comes in motion, in struggle, and yes, in signature. Thank you.
Some write history with blood, some with laws. But the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool. It's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it. We live it. They order it. We obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering. From the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Porter can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.